Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon news update for June 24th, 2024. Today's news is a bit grim, so please take care of yourself as you listen. We're going to start off with a visit to floodlit.org to learn about David Keller. David Keller, a former stake presidency counselor, Sunday school teacher, and temple worker in the Mormon Church, has been arrested and charged with SAing a young girl years ago, according to authorities. David John Keller was booked into the Cache County Jail May 29th, days after confessing the crimes to deputies. Keller was arraigned in Logan's First District Court on May 31st, appearing by video conference from jail. He was charged with 7 counts of aggravated SA of a child, a first-degree felony. According to an arrest report, Keller called 911 dispatch operators on May 14th, saying that he wanted to confess a crime that he had committed. He spoke with the Cache County Sheriff's deputy, explaining how he SA'd and exposed himself to the child when she was between 9 and 11 years old. The crimes reportedly took place between 2009 and 2011. The woman made a phone call to Keller that was recorded by law enforcement. During the conversation, she read a letter detailing the incidents. Keller allegedly admitted to the crimes during the call. According to court records, Keller was scheduled to appear again in court on Monday, June 10th. He's being held temporarily in jail and could face up to life in prison if convicted. And now we go to southern Utah, where a girl who died in a Mormon-run troubled teen facility was dead for up to 10 hours before staff realized. This actually happened in 2023, but is just being reported on now, a year later. Maggie Montalongo was desperate. Her daughter, Arian Duenez, had struggled for years in residential treatment facilities in and out of California, becoming addicted to drugs in the process and increasingly expressing wanting to self-unalive. So when Duenez was transferred from a teen treatment center in southern Utah to Vive Adolescent Care in St. George in May of last year, Montalongo was cautiously optimistic. Maybe this was the place that would finally help her daughter. "I took her there in hopes that they could help her," Montalongo said. Her eyes were welling with tears during an emotional interview at her home in Southern California late last month. But now, Montalongo said all she has of her daughter are the memories and her ashes. That's what they gave me back. Duenez, who once dreamed of becoming an advocate for children who struggled with mental health, was found dead in her bed at Vive on the morning of July 2nd, 2023. She was 16 years old. Police quickly ruled out self-unaliving and found no signs of foul play. The Utah Medical Examiner's Office, unable to pinpoint the exact reason Duenez never woke up, ultimately ruled her cause and manner of death as undetermined. "This is a perplexing case," said St. George Police Sergeant Adam Olmstead, who responded to the facility the morning Duenez died. "Just for the fact that any time you go out and there's a 16-year-old who's deceased, that's not normal." But documents obtained by Fox 13 News now provide new answers for Duenez's family and spark additional questions about the events leading up to their daughter's death. Records show Vive employees didn't follow the facility's procedures for 15-minute checks on all clients that night, even though Duenez had vomited repeatedly in the hours before she died. Though staff looked in on Duenez throughout the night to make sure she was still at her bed, her breathing was not assessed as outlined in routine client monitoring policy, Vive said in documents submitted to the state. For an hour and a half that morning, facility footage showed staff didn't look in on Duenez at all, even though the state found the employees had signed off on those checks as if they'd been performed. There was no registered nurse on duty that morning as required, one of 4 times that same week where that was the case. By the time Vive realized something was wrong, Duenez had already been dead for anywhere between 4.5 to 10 hours, St. George police estimated. Paramedics arrived to find her stiff, cold, and purple. While the state identified several policy violations related to record keeping and client monitoring at the facility, it ultimately determined the facility's actions hadn't led to Duenez's death. The Department of Health and Human Services is the main oversight body for so-called troubled teen facilities like Vive, an industry that has received increased scrutiny in recent years over allegations of neglect and abuse, including high-profile accounts from celebrity Paris Hilton. The Utah legislature enacted new policies in 2021 to regulate the industry, which is one of the largest in the nation. Other fatalities in these centers have received local and even national attention, including the death of 17-year-old Taylor Goodridge at Diamond Ridge Academy in 2022, but Duenez's death has never before been reported. Vive declined multiple interview requests for this story, instead releasing a statement. In it, the facility said it was heartbroken at Duenez's death and hadn't issued a public statement previously out of respect for her family and in compliance with privacy laws. The statement also stressed Viv's current good standing with state officials. Both regulators and local law enforcement completed their investigations, and neither found wrongful or criminal activity, the statement said. While we routinely self-reported an issue at the time, it was judged to have had no bearing on the patient's death. We have long been cleared to accept new admissions. And here is a testimonial from Reddit about Ariana from a teen who was attending the facility at the same time. While I was at Viv Adolescent Care in St. George, Utah, a teen died. She was 16 years old, yet no matter how hard I look, not a single article, lawsuit, anything at all is available on it. Here's what happened. The kid died in the middle of the night because Viv has two sides, a hospital side and a residential side. The laws applying to the different licenses are obviously different for each. This kid in particular was on the hospital side, and there the patients are supposed to be checked on by medical staff for visible head, neck, and hands, as well as respirations every 15 minutes. Anyway, this kid died in the middle of the night, and they didn't realize until the early afternoon the next day. They sat all the clients on the residential side down and told us that she had died and that it wasn't self-unaliving, but it wasn't their fault. They stressed heavily that it wasn't their fault. There were rumblings going around that the death may have been caused by a medication mix-up or medication mixture that should not have happened, but they couldn't tell us because HIPAA. In what world is a mental hospital responsible to check for respirations every 15 minutes, not responsible for the death of a 16-year-old girl? Why is this not a big thing? Why was this not on the news? Why did all the program get was a temporary suspension on their hospital license, yet they still admitted clients to the residential side? Why are they going to get their license back? Because no one else died? After 5.5 months? Wow, that's a record. And last up today, a wealthy Mormon dad, Olin Johnson from American Fork, Utah, posted a chilling final Instagram message before shooting his wife and then himself at their stunning $1.5 million Utah home. The tragedy left 6 children orphaned. In his final posting to social media on Wednesday, Johnson wrote, "No matter how crappy a person I am, motorcycles always love me back. Oh, and skiing. Skiing loves me too." Johnson could be seen wearing his helmet while he sat on his Triumph motorbike, one of his favorite hobbies. 2 of his children responded directly to their father's post. "You're not a crappy person. You're the best dad in the world," one of his sons, Dylan Bay, wrote. "Love you, Dad, and loved that you taught me to be a badass and ride motorcycles," daughter Savannah added. No motive has yet been given, and it is unclear if the Instagram post was a reference to marital trouble. Online, Olin appeared to love his family. "Father to 6 great kids and 1 beautiful wife," he wrote in his Instagram profile. The couple appeared to have it all, not least their stunning family home set in the middle of rural Utah. Their social media pages are evidence of a life well lived, with plenty of time spent with their children, some of whom were married. The pair also looked to take time out for themselves, enjoying alone time away from family as they embarked on vacations to Europe, Australia, and other parts of the States. The great outdoors was always a priority for the pair. While Olin would focus on his business and outdoor activities, particularly biking and skiing, wife Carolyn loved to cook, spend time with her children, and even took to the stage, singing in musicals with their local amateur theater companies. But behind the screens, he appeared to have been in turmoil, although the reason for his shocking act of violence remains unknown for now. Police rushed to the scene of the sprawling family home just after 12:40 p.m. on Thursday after receiving reports that the bodies were discovered by another family member. Lieutenant Stuart Foer said that there were no signs of a struggle or argument before it happened. "Carolyn was literally one of the most generous, kind, and supportive people that I have ever known," said Gail Lockwood, a retired voice teacher at Brigham Young University who had Johnson as a student. "She is a light that will be missed in the world," Lockwood told KUTV. Carolyn Johnson was herself a voice coach and singing teacher at BYU, mentoring hundreds of people across Utah County. "My hope is that people will continue to think and pray for her family," Lockwood said. "These children are going to need a lot of love and support for a long time to come." Carolyn's husband, Olin Johnson, ran his own company, SimTech Modular, which specializes in making small arms firing ranges that can be used for training by the military and police. Olin was also known to be an outdoor pursuits enthusiast with a love of mountaineering, climbing, caving, mountain biking, and riding dirt bikes. His job involving the building of firing ranges also saw him acquire quite the collection of weaponry, much of which was also photographed and displayed on his Instagram account. And there you have it, folks. That's your update for today. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.